Good morning, good morning, good morning, Denise. Good morning, Major. How are you guys doing today? I hope everybody is doing well. It is, and Denise can attest for this because she's my neighbor. It is a blustery, cold, nasty morning. Today's weather is just yuck. And as I say that, I noticed that there's a utility truck stopped out on the gravel road. They have stopped. I don't know what they're doing, but the wind is just blowing out here in the rural areas. The wind is blowing the rain around. It's freezing rain. It's all over the windows. It's slick outside. And I know that the utility companies are going around checking things to make sure that we're all going to say nice and safe. Good morning, New York gal. How are you doing this morning? So, oops, oh, my little, don't you guys hate these things? I hate these things. Why do I even have that? Let's just, take that to the train station. It's cold here this morning and it's going to be yucky today. And so there's travel advisories. I just saw, oh, there's another one. Pull that off of there. I saw that there's travel advisories. They're going to start closing down interstates over in South Dakota, over by Yogi Hollow Farms, neck of the woods. All that's blowing our direction. Good morning, Rochelle. Morning, sewing a kind of pain in the butt, paper piece pattern. You don't like that, designer? I hear how that goes. All right, let's jump into some tea. I have just come back in from feeding my chickens. Hence the hat, because it was cold and I'm still chilly. I'm leaving it on. So let's get out our tea advent calendar. Today's day 13. We're more than halfway done now. Well, we're halfway done exactly, but today will be more than halfway. And so we've got our 24 days of tea. That dog begged to be let out to go to the train station, and now she's begging to be let back. Let me go get her and put her in a corner. Hang on. Oh my goodness. It is one of those days where when you open the door, good morning, Yossi. When you open the door, like the wind just blows you backwards with the door because it's just so windy and cold. It is so cold out there. Yeah, imagine music while I'm gone. Everybody sing to yourself, but I'm back. Okay, so we have our 24 days of tea. Yesterday we did day 12. Today we're going to do day 13. I'm going to open this up. We're going to replace number 12. I always leave it out. I don't know why I'm not good about putting it back in. My grandmother would have had a fit because she's always like, whatever you take out, put back. Whatever drawer you open, close it. It's terrible about that. I found day 13. It's in a lovely little blue box with green polka dots. Here we go, day 13. Good morning, Gwen. Yes, Denise, it is nasty out there today. No one puts baby in the corner. Well, I want to put my dog in the corner because I sent her out to the train station, and then she was already wanting back in. That's how nasty it is. The dog's like, whoop, nope, don't want anything to do with it. Let me back in. She was not happy out there. All right, day 13. Let me grab my readers, my eyeballs. She may have done a runner. She's sliding into home. Okay, day 13. Really cute little box. Look at this. And I can already see, can you get a peek? Ah, it's going to be a pretty one. I can already tell. Let's take it out of the little box. Ooh, organic super ginger. Oh, super ginger. Oh, God, that's pretty. Sorry. That's pretty. I see white peppercorns, black peppercorns, pink peppercorns, and all kinds of other stuff. Let me show you what this looks like. Look at that pretty little tea. Look at all of the goodness in that tea. Oh, wow. You know what, guys? I don't have my lemon at the ready. I don't have my honey at the ready. Good morning, Equus. Good morning. So we have a beautiful tea called Organic Super Ginger. Let's look at the ingredients on the back. See what we have in this tea that's not visible to the untrained eye. Looks like the bottom of a budgie cage. I know what you're saying. Does kind of look like that now that you say it, doesn't it? All right, let me see if I can find it. I found it right here at the very top. Right here. Whoop, there we go. Right there at the very top of our box here. It tells us everything we need to know. So this is going to be heated to 200 degrees. Let me start that now. Let's get ahead of the game. We're starting our tea kettle to 200 degrees. Do you guys see the ticker running at the bottom there? If anybody's interested in the tea kettle or the beautiful little tea infuser that we use, I have an Amazon link in the description below. So it doesn't cost you any extra, but you know, Mama makes 20 cents. Let's see what we have here. Organic ginger, organic green Rooibos tea, organic black pepper, organic white pepper, organic pink peppercorn, natural flavoring with stevia, and it's kosher. So if it's naturally flavored with stevia, I probably won't need the honey back there that I was going to jump up and get while we were getting this ready. So, but maybe I'll grab it and maybe I'll grab the lemon. I'm not sure. What do you guys think for a ginger tea? Should I add some more sweetening and some lemon? Let me know in the comments. I'll jump up and grab it if I need to. All the teas look like granola to you. Oh my goodness. Yes, peppercorns. This is the second tea that we've pulled out of this little advent calendar that has had peppercorn in it. So I do think that is rather interesting. Let me back this up a little bit here. I always taste it first. Always taste it first. 72 degrees where you are. Goodness sakes, Gwen, it is chilly cold out here. Like the rain is like freezing to the windows as it's blowing in. The snow is still on the ground, but now it's just going to be one big sheet of mushy ice. So it's dangerous out there today. I'm glad Papa Jim made it into work okay. I worry about him coming home. I can hear my tea water heating up. I always worry about him. Knock it off. You know, you're going to go to the train station. Psh, psh. I'm a squirter. I'm going to pretend like I'm squirting. I threatened to throw her outside. She looked at me like I was crazy. I told her, get out there to the train station. She barked. All right, I grabbed the honey just in case. 5 degrees where you are this morning. 63 where Major is. I grabbed my water bottle. I don't know if that's just going to make her more upset with me or if she'll be quiet. She better stop before she gets deck started, right? Add honey to my ginger. I grabbed the honey, and so we're at the ready. Let's put our tea into our little infuser here. You ran the AC last night. I was freezing. My feet were so cold last night. Okay, let's bring this down. And let's add some of our tea blend. Our bottom of the Budgie Cage surprise to our infuser. We'll see what kind of a tea dance we get. Here is our blend. It is pretty. Let's see. Oh, it smells interesting. I'm probably going to sneeze because of all of the peppers. Let's add about half of it here. I don't want all of the peppercorns to come out with this first batch. I want some of them to be saved for the second batch. All right, there we go. There's about half. We'll set this aside a little bit. I know our water is going to be ready at any minute. I'm going to squirt it. There's nothing in there but water, but we'll see if it keeps her quiet. You love ginger in food, but hate it in drinks. Well, we'll see if I like this. I don't know. Our water's ready. So I'm going to set this aside. Where'd my little box go? Here's the box. I'm going to set this aside, and our water's already ready because I got smart and I started a little bit ahead of time. Let's bring this down. I don't know what her deal is this morning, why she feels like she needs to be so rude. Okay, here we go. Instead of a tea leaf dance, I think we're going to get a peppercorn dance this morning. She barks at me and then she looks at me as if she's saying, I challenge you to grab. I swear this dog. You want to go to the train station? Don't you look at it. Don't. All right, unless there's an absolute blizzard. Now she's just staying outside because I know that that hurts the ears. I know my little dogs are nice and warm and wrapped up. I don't know what her deal is. Maybe the fox is back. Maybe she wants to go out there in the, and as soon as I did that, as soon as I put her outside, there's more rain hitting the windows. Okay, let's smell this. Let's see how this is this morning. You know, that's not too bad. That smells kind of nice. You like ginger in your green tea. -1 Celsius in England. Let's see what my phone says. What is it here in the great state of Iowa today? I'm out of breath just from chasing that dog. Oh, and you know what? We need to see how long we're going to steep this for, too. Right up here, 5 minutes. So it's been in there, a little bit. We'll just let that sit for a little bit longer. Get our cup ready. I'm not going to put the honey in yet. We're going to try it without. I like a dash of milk in my tea and a pinch of sugar. I didn't bring the milk. I brought the honey. We'll try it with a little bit of honey. If I feel like I need the lemon and the milk, I can jump up and grab that if I need to. And let's see, what's the temperature? Denise, do you know what the temperature is? I'm going to look it up real quick here. Of course, I just turned my phone on, so it's got to go through all of its alerts. But real quick, look at this. We've got our little tea leaf dance going. Can you see the little tea leaves in there? Let me turn it just so. Oh, look at them dancing. And the pepper balls. They're bouncing up and down and up and down. Don't use lemon and milk. Okay. We'll probably be getting lots of fresh ice. I don't know how much snow we're getting in this band of stuff coming through, but it's to the west of us, the next state over, they're shutting down the roads. So I don't know what we're going to be in the what's going to be happening here soon. But I suspect this week's weather is going to be gnarly, nasty, yucky. It says it's 34 degrees, so we're just, let's see. We're under a weather advisory, though. We're under a weather advisory, and it says it's 34, but I mean, things are freezing out there as it's sticking, so it just might just be right on the edge. Not together, it'll curdle. Yeah, little bouncing balls in my tea. Let's not get the conversation going there today. All right. We're going to give this a couple more minutes. Let's look at our little advent calendar for our 6th graders over, I don't know where they're at. They're maybe in Canada or in France. They have things that are done in French in this. Of course, now that I've turned the phone on, all these alerts are coming through. Nothing's going as planned today, and that helped me right there. This is helping me pick out the story I want to share with you today. Oh, goodness, Yossi. Well, then I won't be doing that. Nobody's got time for that today. My goodness. Okay, let's find our little advent calendar. And of course, because I was running around taking care of the animals, nothing is completed and done and ready for our little time today. Milk is used for cooking with heat all the time, has never curdled for me, even with tea. Black ice on the roads and pavement, be careful. Yes, it's one of those days here. It indeed is. There's going to be some chilly, bad, yucky, nasty driving weather out here. All right, day 13 for our advent calendar for our little 6th graders. Let's see what they say today. Day 13 is help someone with a task. And I'll show you the picture in a second here. Let's see what these little bits of love have to say. Good morning, Joyce from Michigan. We're going to read an insert here in an advent calendar that was created by little 6th graders for random acts of kindness while our tea is steeping. And then once we're done reading this, we will decant the tea into our clear coffee little teacup so we can see what we're dealing with. So it says for today from these little 6th graders, here's his artwork today, the little artwork from the 6th graders. and it's got a house, and I think somebody's helping somebody hang their Christmas lights. So it says a lot of people may struggle with physical tasks such as painting, building, or in this case, putting Christmas lights on their house. Sometimes people just need a helping hand to complete a task that is difficult for them. If you see someone who you think might need some help with a task, such as putting up Christmas lights, then go to them and say, "Would you like some help with that?" Even if they say no thanks, it will still feel good to put the offer out there. Really sweet of these little kids. They really do have such wonderful hearts. I love reading their little suggestions for an advent calendar. It is cute, isn't it, Joyce? Oh, goodness. Okay, let's not have a dangling Chad fight over milk and lemon. However, I do have some crema media crema from Nestle. It's in the cabinet, and it is a heavier milk cream. And if you add lemon juice to it, it will make sour cream. I'm telling you, that's why I've got it in the pantry for my long-term pantry. All right, let's bring the camera down. I've got my little teacup at the ready. And let's bring the camera down and let's get our tea into our teacup and see what it's looking like. Here we go. All the way down, right to about there. We're going to take our little infuser here and set it right on top of our cup. And let's get the tea a-flowing. There we go. Get every last little drop as everything goes through all of the ginger, the peppercorn. Get every last little bit into our teacup here. Okay. Oh, I can tell you right now, it is fragrant. It is fragrant. Pioneer cheese. Oh, paneer cheese. I thought you said pioneer cheese. People should stay that way even when they grow up. The world would be so much better, right? I think that's what I really love, Joyce, about these little ones that are sharing their advent calendar is their hearts are still pure and innocent. And some of the things they've shared with us are just so wonderful. And it warms your heart, hearing these things from the mind and heart of a child. It's so beautiful. So I love sharing that advent calendar with you guys every day. We started on day 1, December 1st. That was day 13. So I will be sharing it all the way through. They've got some really cute little thing, all their little artwork, and their hearts are just so tender. I do love it. Okay. What do you guys think? Here is our organic super ginger tea. Super ginger. Needs a little cape of its own. Beautiful color. Let's smell it. The ginger, you pick up on the notes of the ginger and the peppercorns. I don't know, guys. Do you think I'm going to like this one? Comment below. Do you think I'm going to like it? I don't know. I have reservations before I even sip it. I'm hoping I'm pleasantly surprised. So let's see here. I'm going to try to take a little sip. Hopefully it's not too hot. We did heat our water up to 200 degrees. Give it a go. I'm going to give it a go. Here we go. Here we go. Gosh, what's that remind me of? Ooh. I'm going to tell you guys, as it first hits the tongue, it's not one that I'm like, oh, yes, I love this. It's kind of like, wait a second, what's going on? Something's happening. I'm not sure what it is. You do get that little bit of heat from the peppercorns, and you do get that gingery taste. And I'm with, I think it's with Rochelle. I'm really not sure that I love ginger. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's add some honey. It's definitely, even though it's got some stevia in it, it definitely needs a little bit of Iowa honey in it. Maybe that will bring me around. That was the honey dispenser. That was not me. Did you guys hear that? Let me grab a spoon real quick. Go lay down. Go lay down. Go lay down. You're a pain in my rear. All right, I let the beast back in because I looked out there and her ears are just blowing in the wind. I think she's laying down on the couch. She knows she's had enough out there. Okay, a little bit of honey. And guys, I apologize for getting up and getting down and going away and coming back and the phone's not ready and things aren't ready. But you know what? This is what's really great about these lives sometimes. So impromptu, nothing is overly planned. And I had somebody tell me the other day, I really just felt like I was sitting in your kitchen having tea with you. And that's what I'm going for. I don't want it to be all staged and proper and perfect. This would be just like if you came over to my house and you were sitting here with me at the kitchen island and we were having a spot of tea. I'm going to have to jump up against spoons. I'm going to have to jump up and take care of the fur babies that are so demanding on blustery days. It does remind me of a ginger snap cookie, but I'm just not quite there yet. I've added a little bit of honey. Let's see how the honey changes the profile on this. Let's see. Oh, yes. Okay, now that is enjoyable now. So I agree with you guys. It takes the bitterness away. So when that was suggested, that is a good thing. I do like that. Oh, that is a nice little cup of tea, right? Who's ever had a perfect life? The people have perfect lives. They put too much planning into their lives if they got a perfect life. Or perfect lives. Nothing's perfect. Here, let's get to our story. Well, let me do one more thing before we do our story. I did not finish my wrap that I was crocheting yesterday. I've gone through 2 skeins of yarn. I'm just now getting ready to add the 3rd skein. Do you say skein or skein? And I'm hoping that the 3rd skein will be enough. I'm hoping because I don't have a 4th. So I'll have to run to the store and hope I can find the same yarn to get my my wrap done. And the name of my wrap has just flown right out of my head. I know what it is. I really do. Rochelle, help me. What is the name of my wrap? It's a Scottish wrap that ties in the back. Figures I'll get a phone call. Got to take. All right, Joyce, thank you so much. Come back if you can, or you can always watch the replay and see what happens here. Your life is perfect, perfectly miserable. Oh, now stop. Now stop. That might make me change my story. Okay, so I've been working on my wrap, and but I'm working on so many projects right now. I've got my heirloom Afghan crochet along. I have 2 Afghans that I started on our trip because I started 2 granny squares. I made 2 little granny squares as I sat on the porch of Laura Ingalls Wilder's home. Because in the TV series, if you watch almost every single episode, there's this Afghan that gets thrown around. And I thought, I'm going to make that Afghan, but the cornerstone of the Afghan in each one is going to be made right there at Laura Ingalls' home. But then I also made a bunch of these little squares everywhere we went. Every place we stayed, every place we visited, I would sit. If it was in a mansion or at a grave site, didn't matter. I crocheted a little granny square to put together a blanket so it would be my personal blanket, my personal Afghan. And I could look at it and say, oh, I think I made this one when I was at Laura's house, or I think I made this one while I was on the riverboat, or I think I made this one while I was at our president's burial place, all these neat things. But I came across something the other day, and I want your opinion. Everybody grab your tea and then come right back. I found something the other day. I found this wrap that I crocheted for my mother, probably 10 or 11, maybe even 12 years ago. I made this for my mom. I have a picture of my mom wearing it. Now, I've put it on and I've worn it a couple times, but it's not me. It doesn't keep my shoulders warm. It's more of like a neck wrap. It's a really nice wrap. It's got this really nice cable stitch in the center. So this is only as wide as it is. So it goes around your shoulders. Let me see if I can do this here. It goes around your shoulders like so, but it doesn't really keep your shoulders warm. And then one side of it has these holes in it. So you can, thank you, sweetie. You can feed one end of the wrap through this hole and feed the wrap through the other hole, and then you can just kind of cinch it around you like this, right? But it's not me. If I'm cold enough here in the house to wear this, I need something over my shoulders. That's why I'm making the other wrap. So this is what I'm thinking. I made this for my mom. I've got a really nice picture of her wearing it. I don't think they let her wear it very often at the nursing home where she was, because I would always find it kind of shoved in a cabinet. So it's not like it was really super surfy. That's not what it's called. I can't remember what the other thing is I'm crocheting. What I'm thinking of doing, I'll use the Afghan much more than I would ever use this. And this is something that I made for my mom. I'm thinking about unraveling this and then using this yarn for my blanket, because I will have more snuggle time with that blanket and memories of my mom than I will with this. What do you guys think? Do you think I should undo this wrap that my mom maybe only got to wear once or twice? Should I keep it as a wrap, knowing that I probably won't wear it very much? I think this is only really the second time I've even put it around my neck. And I've had it since she passed away in 2016. So that's what, almost 7 years. I've never worn it. But I use Afghans and blankets here all the time. I'm thinking about unraveling this and sewing it into my little Afghan. It's almost this color right here. It would go nice. I don't know. What do you guys think? What would you do if this was your mother's and you crocheted and you don't know that you'd wear it very often? Would you keep it and then tuck it away, or would you unravel it and add it to a blanket that you're already working on? Let me know. I'm going to take this off. Let's set it aside, and we're going to move on to our story from my blog after we take another sip of tea. Gosh, what is that thing I'm making? I don't know why I can't remember what it's called. It's the same type of wrap that Claire uses in Outlander. It's very nice. Would your granddaughter or daughter wear it? No, they wouldn't wear it. They wouldn't wear it. I would unravel and make something else. The major says to keep it. And Rochelle wants to know if somebody else in the family would wear it. It holds sentimental value. So the sentimental value will be still valued either way. I'm just not sure yet. I mean, it's been sitting for years. It's just been sitting. I've not done anything with it, and I don't wear it. But if I put it in the blanket, I might. Yes, working on your blanket, Major. As a matter of fact, after our broadcast today, after our live at 12 o'clock Central Time, the next square, the tutorial for the next square will be dropping. So it would be a lot of work. And of course, it would be a lot of work to restitch it back into a blanket. I mean, it is. It's going to be a lot of work. But I think it's something I would utilize. Keep it for the grandkids, but I don't know that the grandkids might use the blanket more than they would use that wrap. I don't know yet. I made that wrap. It was the only wrap like that I ever made, because it just doesn't sit. It's one of those patterns where you're like, oh, that's really nice. And then after you make it, it's like, they must have really taped it to that person to get it laid just right, because it doesn't stay laid the way it is. But anyways, let's find a story. I had a story in mind for today. So let me see if I can find it, because as usual, I don't have everything put together. I have to find it. Can you hear the rain? Can you hear the rain hitting the windows? Wow. When did I write this story? Boy, that wind is just blowing out there. Just the rain is just hitting the house. Looking for the right story. I don't know why it's one that I was thinking of earlier. I thought I would share it with you. The trick is finding it in my blog. If I don't find it soon, I'm going to have to pick another one. The hardest part of unraveling is finding your end that you stopped at and unweaving the tail. Yeah, I mean, if there's obviously there's going to be a little bit of sacrifice made if I do unravel it. I would use the blanket more, add it to the blanket, but I also feel keep it. I know it's so, it's like the other thing that I'm really struggling with is I have my mom's ashes upstairs. She's upstairs in my craft room with me. And, I really want to make one of those really beautiful blown glass orbs with my mom's ashes in it. But like, do I separate part of my mom's ashes out or do I leave it whole? My sister has purchased a very nice urn to add my mother to my dad, who's my sister's father, but I got the ashes of my biological father. And I don't know, do I make an orb out of my mother and my father? What about my dad? Do I get some of the ashes of my dad and put him in there too? Do I separate some of the ashes and make this beautiful orb? And then 2 generations from now, the orb ends up in a thrift store because the grandkids and the great grandkids don't appreciate it and they think it's just a paperweight? Or do I leave my mother whole? Oh my goodness. Saying the person making a paper piece quilt. Hardest part of unraveling. Oh, yeah, got you. I really want to find my story. Because it was a pretty neat story. I just have to find it. Is this it? Here it is, right there. Now, see, after I stopped struggling to find it, I found it. And oddly enough, sometimes when you just let go and stop struggling so much, things come together. And that is the emphasis of our story. Maybe I need to stop struggling so much on some of these decisions and just let things happen and trust my gut, and things will work out. Let me see. So here is the story. I wrote it Monday, September 17th, 2012, although I assure you that's not when it happened. I believe this happened towards the end of April 2010, and it just took me a while to write about it. I had it written down elsewhere, but not in my actual blog. I know you have a headache with all the dilemmas. I know. And that's one thing I've noticed about this tea. When I drink the tea too, it loosens my chest up. All right. So this is the story I wanted to share with you today about trusting your gut. Oh man, this is a true story. They all are, but this one blows my mind. This one's called The Guidance of One's Path. I have had several moments in my life where I have felt a presence, a guidance of sorts, even warnings, perhaps. Some may refer to these instances as divine intervention, women's intuition, or deja vu. It's like everything's blurry. Why? Because I don't have my glasses on. Some may even refer to them as something along the lines of the paranormal, the unexplainable, or the heavenly. This past April, I had one such moment in my life, one of many. It was my birthday, and the family and I were going to drive from Southern California to Las Vegas, Nevada, to visit my father, whose birthday is the day following mine. For those of you who have driven the Interstate 15 to Vegas, they can attest that although the road is very busy, it is a very desolate stretch of highway. You can go for miles and miles in the desert without seeing anything or anyone except the fellow travelers in their automobiles. It is literally in the middle of nowhere, especially once you get past Baker, where the world's largest thermometer is. If you've ever seen the movie Vegas Vacation, the girl goes out to see the world's largest thermometer. We were several miles east of Baker, heading up a steep grade, when the dog started getting antsy and letting us know that she needed a pit stop. Why do they always want to do that? My son, Justin, was driving, and he was looking for a place to pull over. But just when he would slow down, I kept saying, no, 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 this doesn't feel right. Don't pull over here. Keep driving. Finally, I felt the timing was right to pull over, and he did so when I told him to. Now, this stretch of desolate highway is littered with nasty, scrubby, brushy trees that you find every so often. These ugly trees are called tamarisks, and they are natural magnets for all kinds of debris that blows along the highway. Many times you will find shoes lofted into the higher branches. There is such a tamarisk tree where we pulled off that day. We had already passed at least 50 similar trees in the past mile or so, but we stopped at this one. And I'm telling you, I took a picture of it. This is the ugly tree. This is the ugly tree, right? As you're driving along the desert, there's all these ugly trees. Gwen probably knows what a tamarisk is. Ugly. Oh, they're just ugly. There's really just nothing appealing about them at all. My son gets out. My husband gets out with the dog. And my granddaughter, who is 8 years old, she starts to clamber out from the back seat. Usually, this is a normal thing for her, so she can explore for rocks, etc. I normally would not inhibit this natural curiosity she possesses, but this time I snapped at her as she reached for the door handle, and I told her to stay in the car. I didn't feel right about her getting out this time. She asked why, and I told her I just don't feel safe. Even though I'm the one who chose to pull over there, I got an eerie feeling I didn't feel safe. I started freaking myself out, becoming increasingly paranoid, telling myself as I looked at the tree in front of me, I would say to myself, wouldn't it be creepy if there was someone under that tree? It was completely illogical, as we are in the middle of nowhere and it is 100 degrees plus outside in the desert sun. It didn't make sense to think that way. I was just being silly. But the feeling didn't go away. I stared at the tree and I didn't see anything, but I was still very uneasy. As the feeling continued to linger, I took notice of a large knife my husband had recently purchased. It was stuffed between the driver's seat and the center console. I thought that I could easily grab it if needed, but I was worried about how I would get that instrument to my son or to my husband if they needed to defend themselves, should there be someone lurking, watching us. Just when I had told myself for the third or fourth time that I was freaking myself out and to knock it off, my son ran up to my door of the truck, yanked it open, and was yelling at me that he needed my bottle of water because there was a dehydrated, delusional man under the tree. Sure enough, just as my instincts had told me, someone had been under that tree, and I felt their presence. My son took him the water, unarmed, while I gained better access to what was stuffed in between the seat there, just in case we needed it. My son came back a few moments later as my husband and I wearily and guardedly watched. We were on alert. My hand was on my phone. I had already pressed in 911. But we're in the middle of nowhere. It would take a very long time to get any assistance should we needed it. Our son returned and asked if we had any food for the man. I gave my son some leftover donuts that we had picked up earlier in our travels. The man had asked Justin to please don't call the police. He was homeless. He was always run out of places where he sought refuge. Today, he had taken refuge under that tree, and he had actually thought he was going to die there. I repeatedly asked my son if I needed to call for an ambulance, my hand still perched on my phone's keypad. But my son said the man was starting to make a little more sense as he drank the water, and let's hold off. He doesn't want the cops to come. Obviously, we couldn't offer him a ride with a small child with us. Even had she not been with us, I've seen too many scary movies to take any chances. However, we gave him what we could and assured him we would not call the authorities on him. I thought long and hard about calling an ambulance, but I didn't sense an urgency at that particular moment, so I held off. I didn't do it. We kept an eye on him for a while. We made sure that he had the water he needed, some food. We gave him a little money, and we pulled back onto the freeway with a sense of, wow, what just happened? Now, as we're driving along, I start taking inventory of what we had just experienced, as well as the moments leading up to that decision to pull off the road in that exact location at that exact time. And I realized that there were two extreme factors that played into this story that just normally wouldn't have been there. That morning, earlier that morning, on the way out of town on our trip, my husband offered to take us to IHOP for birthday pancakes. You know, it's your birthday, you get to eat for free at IHOP, at least you could back then. And I was so looking forward to going to IHOP and having my birthday breakfast, something that we would randomly, do from year to year. And when my husband offered that to me that day, I declined. Who turns down IHOP? For those of you who don't know what IHOP it is, it's the International House of Pancakes. Nothing but pancakes, pancakes, pancakes. I love pancakes. But when he offered it to me that day, I declined. So unlike me. I mean, look at me. Who turns down pancakes? I told him instead I had a really weird craving for donuts. So we hadn't purchased donuts in years. We had not gone to a little donut place in years, but I wanted donuts that day. So we found a little donut shop and we got a whole box of donuts for the four of us to enjoy on our travels. Now that makes, four of us in the car. That's 3 donuts each. Maybe we got a baker's dozen. I don't know. But I mean, we're not going to eat 3 whole donuts a piece. So obviously there's donuts left over and they're sitting in the box. Also, along our travels, we stopped in Barstow, California at a McDonald's train tourist trap. It's a train depot right there on Route 66, and they have some old train cars. It's a really neat place. We always stop there with our kids. And why do we always stop there with our kids? Because my parents always stopped there with us when we were kids. And Jim's parents always stopped there with him and his siblings when they were kids. It's a place you just always stop, always, without fail. My parents had always stopped there when I was a kid, so I wanted to take my granddaughter there as well. Continue on the family tradition. We all looked around this little train that's all set up, and we all got something to drink before heading back to the truck. Now, when I travel back then, I always, without fail, 100% of the time, would grab a Diet Coke. I was a Diet Coke fanatic. I always have an extra large fountain drink of Diet Coke in a cup holder anytime we would go anywhere. But this one time, without even trying to question or make any rational thought of it, I told my husband I just really felt like having water. I never buy bottled water when we travel. it's so expensive. I mean, it's more than getting a fountain drink. Why would you buy? You could stop off at the store and get a whole case for what it would cost you just for a couple bottles of water at any stop that you make. I never buy water while traveling, but on this day, I bought 2 extra large bottles of Aquafina water. So when we found that man dehydrated and dying under a tree, I had water to offer him. Had I purchased Diet Coke, the sodium would have made him all the more thirsty. But I had water to quench his thirst. It's what he needed at the time. When we found that man, I had food to offer him. Had we eaten at IHOP, if we would have had any leftovers, we wouldn't have taken them with us because we had a long drive ahead of us and the food wouldn't have kept. And yes, donuts aren't the best nutritional thing, but he had food in his belly. I had food to offer him. I had water to quench his thirst. I was led to that tree, and we had what that man needed. The realization about the food and the water, it wasn't apparent to me right away, but as we drove along the interstate and the more I thought about things and the more things just started falling into place, I was in amazement. It was like a weird paranormal event that happens from time to time. It's windy. I'm sorry, guys. Thank you for those of you who stayed with me. Thank you. Yes, we lost internet. We had a strong gust of wind come through, and then all of a sudden, everything went blank. So I apologize about that. Okay, so thank you to those of you who stuck around for the end of the story. You liking the story so far? Let me put my glasses back on. I had to try to figure out what was going on. Let me know if you guys can see me. Okay, there you are. Hello. I'm sorry about that, guys. That one was out of my control. It's so stormy out there. All right. Just when I said, is this a coincidence? Is it God? I lost power. You have to get back to work. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. If you want to hear the rest of the story, make sure you come back and listen to the replay. Hit the thumb on the way out. And if you're not subscribed, you guys, make sure you're subscribed. Okay, let me get back to the story before we lose power again. I don't know how to explain such things. God? Was it the universe or was it a coincidence? I know how I was raised to believe, but much of what I sense sometimes defies the teachings. I just don't know. What I do know is this was one of the strongest instances I have yet to experience. Hello, Tiny Tim. I brought 2 bottles of water and donuts. It's not what I normally do. I mean, it was just crazy. I updated Facebook as we were driving along, relaying the craziness of all that had just happened to my Facebook family and friends. One by one, they shared their awe at what had happened. One friend shared a most precious observation. How wonderful a gift it was for my birthday to witness the selflessness of my child. I'm going to cry as he cared for that man, putting his own safety aside to help one he knew was in need. It was a proud moment for sure. I mean, my son didn't even hesitate. He went right to helping that man. My kids, my husband, and my friends, listen to me now when I say I don't feel right about something, or if I've had a dream. Much of the time, it is nothing more than a feeling, but there has been more than one enough instances that make me realize that when I have this guidance, I need to heed it. Listen to your feelings, friend. The guidance of your path may be from a power unseen, but certainly not unfelt. We just need to learn to listen and recognize when the guidance is there. I ended this story with a William Shakespeare quote. And this, our life, exempt from public haunt, finds tongues in trees, books in the running brooks, sermons in the stones, and good in everything. I'm telling you, that was a day. That was a day. And, that's not the first time that my son has done something like that. He does have such a wonderful heart. They all do. I also sometimes have a weird feeling, and every time I ignored them and it didn't end well. Yeah. I will share with you guys that when Papa Jim and I were first married, and this is one of the references that I talk about in the story when I've had things happen before and people don't listen to me. When Papa Jim and I were very first married, it was in our first 18 months of marriage. We had a little 1-bedroom apartment. We didn't have a lot of stuff. We had very little belongings. But we had enough, to store in the little cubbies of this little 1-bedroom apartment that we had. And my husband come bursting in one Saturday and he says, hey, my best friend and I, we're going to go out. We're going to go plinking, target practicing out in the riverbed. He says, I need my 22 shells. He goes, where are they? I was like, I don't know where they are. I don't keep track of that kind of stuff. It's got to be in a box somewhere with your stuff from when we got married. He goes, well, I need them. And so he starts taking boxes out of the closet and he's just like ransacking them and he can't find what he needs. And the more this goes on, I said, maybe you shouldn't go. Maybe this is a sign you shouldn't go. No, I'm going. And he's just getting more frustrated because he cannot find what he needs. He's looking, he's getting upset. And I kept saying, I really don't think you should go. And it was kind of one of those, be quiet, woman. I'm going to go do what I want to do with my friend if I want to, and ain't no woman going to stop me. That was kind of how it was. Kept looking. Finally, after like the 10th time of me saying, I don't think you should do this, he finds what he's looking for. And off he runs with his best friend since high school. And they run off to go do some little target plinking down in the riverbed. So I'm left behind with no vehicle. I don't even think we had a telephone, with a little baby. And he's run off into the sunset with his best friend to go do man stuff. A few hours pass by and he comes home. And he is, I don't even know what the emotion is that he's got. I don't even know how to put my finger on it. Hello, Laura. Drive safely, please. So he comes in and you could just tell his day has not gone well. Let's just put it that way. You can just tell by looking at him, this is not good. He holds up his arms and he goes, do you see these marks on my wrists? I mean, he's just like incredulous. Do you see this? What is it? These are from the handcuffs. Oh, handcuffs? What happened? He says, Rick and I were down in the riverbed, and we were doing some target practice, and a sheriff pulled up, and he ordered us up out of the riverbed, and he handcuffed us. He handcuffed us to each other, and then he handcuffed each of their hands to the side view mirrors of his patrol car. So one hand is handcuffed to a mirror and then stretched around the hood of the car to the other person, and their other hand is handcuffed to the other mirror because the sheriff was by himself. Both of these men have little pew-pews with them. I think they had the longer ones. And so he's by himself, and so he needed to make sure he secured them so they wouldn't cause him any harm. Well, there's only so far you can stretch across a hood while you're handcuffed to the other mirror. So the handcuffs really dug into both of their hands. And they were there a long time while this officer tried to determine who they were, what they were doing, why they were illegally target practicing down in the riverbed, waiting for backup, blah-de-de-blah-de-de-blah. They were probably both on their way to jail. And then a call came across the radio that there had been a very bad accident. All units in the immediate area were needed right away. And luckily for Jim, and unfortunately for the people who were traveling that day, that is exactly where the riverbed is. And it is a notorious stretch of highway where, I mean, there are several deaths on this highway every year. I don't know why so many people have so many problems. That they can't stay on their own side of the road, and they pass when they shouldn't pass. So there's always accidents. So the sheriff says, well, lucky for you, I've got to go attend to this, and you guys are free to go. But I think he confiscated their stuff. I'm pretty sure he confiscated their stuff. So he comes home, and he's like really frustrated, and he's holding up his arms. He's got these deep, deep, deep marks in his wrist from the handcuffs. He's like, do you see what happened? And I'm like, do you see why you should listen to your wife when she says maybe you shouldn't go? Do you see that now? We've had a few more instances like that where somebody doesn't listen. But now, after a few of these instances where I get these feelings, if I tell Papa Jim, if he wakes up in the morning to go to work and I say, don't take that one road to work today. I got a bad feeling about that one road to work today. Don't do it. He'll take an alternate road to work now. If we have plans to do something and then I say, I don't feel right about this, I don't think we should do this today, we don't do it. I had a friend one time. I had a dream about a friend, and it was a bad dream. And I called her. I said, what are your plans for tonight? She says, oh, I'm going out with some friends. We're going to go out to a karaoke bar. We're going to have, just a couple of drinks and do some karaoke. I said, don't go. She's like, why? I said, I had a dream. She didn't go. Now, I don't know if anything ever happened where they were planning on going, but she didn't go. She listens to me when I say, don't do that. So sometimes it's just a matter of listening to this inner guidance that you have, paying attention to it, and realizing that maybe there are some things you should do and maybe some things you shouldn't do when you're out and about in this world, and just really listening to that. So that's my story for today, is the guidance of one's own path. So I felt it when my grandfather passed away. I was 2,000 miles away, not about 1,700 miles away. I felt it. I turned to the lady next to me on the train. I said, I believe my grandfather has just passed away. I felt it. I noted the time. It was 8:29 at the local time where I was at that time. When we got home, I had a phone call from my mother that at 10:29 Central Time, which was 2 hours difference, my grandfather had drawn his last breath. I felt it. I knew it. So there's sometimes you just have to listen to things. So having said that, am I going to go with what I'm really struggling with my mother's ashes? I've already purchased her lilac bush. It's out there in the yard, and I planned on adding some of her ashes to the lilac bush. She just loves lilacs. And so I will be doing that, but there's some other things I still struggle with. So, but anyways, guys, you know what? That puts us at the 1 hour mark, despite having the issues with the technical stuff. I do want to say, if you are following along with the crochet along for the Heirloom Afghan crochet along, one tutorial will be posting today at noon Central Time for left-handers. The one for right-handers will be posting Thursday at noon after our time. And then tomorrow morning, after our tea time, I will be releasing chapter 10 of Anne of Green Gables. So I know Yossi will be happy to hear that, because I know Yossi is listening to Anne of Green Gables, and I'm changing up my thumbnails for Anne of Green Gables. Hopefully it will be a little bit more recognizable when people look through things. I love reading Anne of Green Gables to my chicken. Her name was Betty White. And so that's kind of my thumbnail, but I don't know that people are going to look at that and go, oh, wow, yeah, this is a story time with Anne of Green Gables. What's the chicken doing there? So I'm going to be doing that. So having said that, I'm just going to cuddle up with my dogs today, maybe work on my wrap that I still can't remember the name of it. What is the name of that wrap? I know it's right here. I've got to know. I know you guys got to know before we go. What is the name of that wrap? It is called a Sontag. Sontag. As soon as I saw it, it's like, oh, of course that's what it is. Why couldn't I remember it? Ah, doesn't everyone read to their chickens, right? They should. If they don't, they should. Sontag started with an S. All right. All right, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Stay warm or stay cool if you're in the warmer climates right now. Get plenty of rest. Stay hydrated. And remember to listen to that inner guidance when something is speaking to you or someone is speaking to you. Make sure you learn to listen. I will see you guys tomorrow morning at 10:15 Central Time. I'll talk to you then. Bye-bye. Hit the button that says end of broadcast. See you later, guys.